there, and welcome to another 7th grade math video. This video, we're going to be focusing on comparing rational numbers. So if you're not sure what rational numbers are positive and negative, decimals and fractions. Okay, here is the first example we're going to do. We're going to be comparing the rational numbers 16 over 5 and 3 and 1/5 to see which one is greater. So again, whenever we're comparing, we use the symbols greater than, less than, or equal to between the two amounts to show which one is greater. The one that we open the symbol to, or open the alligator's mouth, as you may have heard before, to the greater one. So if 16 over 5 is greater, it would be open to this amount. If the other amount, 3 and 1/5, is greater, we're going to open the symbol to that amount. So we need to figure out which one of these is greater so we know which way to open our symbol to. So these are easier to compare when they're in the same format. Right now we have an improper fraction and a mixed number. So my choice is to either turn the 16 over 5 into a mixed number so I can compare those, or to turn the 3 and 1/5 to an improper fraction so I can compare those. And I think I'm going to do the second one. I'm going to turn 3 and 1/5 into an improper fraction. The way that I do that, and I'm going to rewrite this here, is I'm going to keep 5 as the denominator. The denominator stays the same. To find the numerator that now goes on top, I need to multiply the denominator times the whole number. So that's 5 times 3. And I need to do that first. And then I need to add the numerator that's already there. So I'm going to add that 1 right there. Well, 5 times 3 is 15. And then when I add 1, I end up with 16. So 3 and 1/5 turns into 16 over 5. So I'm going to go ahead and put that over here. Now you may have noticed, I'm going to rewrite this here so it looks the same, that these are the same amount. These are equal. So the symbol that would go in between these two is the equal sign. So to answer the question, which one is greater? Neither one is greater. They're both the same amount. Okay, here's the second one. We're going to compare the rational numbers 3/5 and 0.8 to see which one is greater. So again, just like in the last example, I want to make them so that they are in the same format. They'll be easier to compare that way. So what I think I'm going to do is, instead of turning 3/5 into a decimal, I think I'm going to take 0.8 and rewrite it as a fraction. So since 8 is in the 10th place, and that's the last decimal place value for this decimal, I know that that means the denominator of the fraction would be 10 for the 10th place. That means I'm going to put the 8 right here. So what I'm really comparing is 3/5 to 8 over 10. Now, these are a little bit tough to compare because they don't have the same denominator, but I can change that. Since I know I can multiply 5 times something to get 10, I'm going to do that so that 3/5 turns into tenths. So I know 5 times 2 gives me 10. So I'm going to do 3 times 2 on the top here. Then I can rewrite that as 6 over 10, because 3 times 2 is 6 and 5 times 2 is 10. And I can compare that to 8 tenths. So now it's kind of easy to see which one is greater. If I have 8 tenths, I have more tenths than I do if I have 6. So that means the symbol is going to open to the 8 tenths. And then back to our original problem, the symbol will also open to the 0.8. 3/5 is less than 0.8, making 0.8 the greater amount. Okay, here is our next example. We're going to compare the rational numbers 0 and 4 and 1/2. Which one is greater? Now, this one is kind of a freebie. It's kind of an easier one because 0 is nothing. And if I have 4 and 1/2, I definitely have more than nothing. So for this one, I'm just going to open that symbol to the 4.5. 0 is less than 4 and 1/2, and 4 and 1/2 is greater. Okay, here is our next one. We're going to compare the rational numbers 0 and negative 14.5 to figure out which one is greater. So you might be thinking, oh, look, another freebie here. Not quite, because you see that 0, so you think, oh, that's easy. The tricky part is that this is negative 14.5, not 14.5. So if we sketch out a quick number line and we put 0 in the middle, we know that all the numbers this way are negative and all the numbers this way are positive. So 0 is right in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that number right there. Negative 14.5 would be somewhere, and I could do a bunch of tick marks here, but it's going to be somewhere in this zone. It's going to be 14.5 units away from 0 on the negative side of the number line. So what that means is that 0 is actually the greater amount. So we would open that symbol to 0. Now up here at the top, to open the symbol to 0, it needs to point that way. So 0 is greater than negative 14.5. Okay, here is our next one and our last one for this video. We're going to compare the rational numbers and decide which one is greater. We have 8 and 8.5. So again, they're a lot easier to compare when they're in the same format. Now they're both, one's a whole number, one's a decimal. So I'm going to turn 8 into a decimal. The way that I do that is I add a decimal point after the 8. And if I have no tenths, I can put a 0 in the tenths place. So instead, I'm comparing 8.0 to 8.5. So if you're comparing two decimals, it's easier if the decimals, or you have the same amount of decimals in both numbers. So since 8.5 had a number in the tenths place, I went ahead and added a number in the tenths place for the other number. But since it was nothing was there, I made it a 0. Now, when I'm comparing this, it's a little bit easier because I can kind of ignore the decimals and compare 80 to 85. 85 is bigger than 80, so that means 8.5 would be greater than 8 or 8.0. Also, having two whole numbers of 8 is not like able to compare, but if you have 5 tenths, that's more than 0 tenths. So that means the symbol is going to open up to the 8.5. So 8 is less than 8.5. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you in another video soon.